Not many can be trusted with a task like this. Lucky we've got you.
Hello Epic 7, and welcome to my expedition guide for the fourth quarter of 2023. In this quarter we'll be tackling the light, dark, and water expeditions, and I've been reshooting these videos because we have a new unit to play with called Brieg. Brieg trivializes the light and dark expeditions. Whether or not you pull him, you have to make that decision. If you don't struggle with expeditions, then he may not be worth the pickup because he's not usable in any other aspect of the game except maybe Nightmare Carcanus. But he dominates light and dark. If you're tired of seeing this, where everybody does 0 damage and you're left holding the bag with an expedition that doesn't complete, he will let you solo these expeditions all by yourself. Here's the team. We're running the same team as before, but we've replaced Fire Cecilia with Brieg. Now, my clear was big time overkill, so I don't even think you need his stats built this well. I think 190 to 200 speed would be plenty. He is an HP scaler, so you focus on HP over attack. A little bit of bulk would be nice. I did have some struggles with him on Dark Expedition from his survivability, and because he gives himself 50% effectiveness, you only need 35% effectiveness to get that 85%. His S3 has a defense break and a slow, which is fantastic. Both those are very useful. I went ahead and mulleted his S1 for damage, but you really don't need to. Like I said, I was way overkill on all of this. I think you only need to mullet his S3 for the extra turn. And if you have trouble with survivability, you can mullet his S2. Alternately, if you have trouble with survivability, you could try the artifact Sword of Azera to give him a lot of tankiness from the artifact. I'm running him on Wings of Light and Shadow because it's a huge damage booster and a stat stick with the plus 15 crit chance. I only need 70% crit chance to be at 100%, 15 plus his passive. You could also run Mort's artifact, his own artifact, or that free expedition damage artifact we all got. Really, it's player's choice. Just give him 6 pieces of gear and some crit chance and watch him just rock this expedition. Carmen Rose is now semi-replaceable. Brieg has got a strip and Cerise has got a buff block, but Carmen Rose is still precision built for this expedition. She does a tremendous amount of damage, and she brings strip, buff block, speed down, and a great deal of damage. She's a fantastic damage dealer, and she can wear the Caladra artifact, which is a 30% damage boost when the boss has a debuff, and the boss pretty much always has a debuff. And her S1 self-heals her in addition to the vampirism you get, so I strongly recommend Zealot Carmen Rose. She's going to be one of the highest damage dealing units on your team. Now, Cerise, I have on here basically for the dual attacks. She's also got an S3 strip with slow. We got triple redundancy on slow. We've got triple redundancy on strip. And we got double redundancy on buff block. She can easily be replaced with Green Aceria. Does the exact same job, but you want to build Green Aceria with a little bit of damage so that she can survive, because the damage you do is her only source of healing. She has a built-in life steal from the vampirism effect on this fight, so if you decide to go with the Green Aceria route, that's fine. Just give her some damage so she can stay alive. Song of Stars is the best artifact, and now that Brieg is spamming defense breaks, this will help you spam target. Next is Fire Sirmia. Just my standard Fire Sirmia. You want her on the S1 EE for extra hits, and I have her on Border Coin. You could easily run the damage artifact that they give us and score higher points, but I've got that artifact on Commander Lorena. I guess the main reason I have my Sirmia on Border Coin is because I've got no one else to put Border Coin on, so it's her artifact, I'm letting her wear it. It gives a boost to attack right out of the gate, and eventually by the end of the fight, it's doing really, really good. And that's the team, so let's jump in and show you how this fight goes. So we run it on full auto, everybody's skills on. Cerise will S3, this will trigger a defense buff on the boss. Brieg will S3 and pull that defense buff right off and replace it with a defense break. Brieg got 15% on the strip. Carmen Rose comes in with a second chance to strip. She gets 15% on the strip, so we've got the buff block, but the defense buff is still up. Just about the worst RNG possible.
Give up now.
He takes a turn. Defense buff falls away. Buff block keeps it from coming back. Now we've got target and defense break. The Unity set on Brieg is really nice. You can put pen set on him for more damage. With as long as this fight lasts, I think the Unity set is max value. But really, it doesn't matter. You overkill this so quickly and so fast, you could put any set on him, really.
Grant me power, Lord Noyas.
Get ready to watch this animation a lot.
For your reckless greed.
Defense breaks reapplied, slow debuffs reapplied. The Pain Pursuer barely gets to take turns.
I'll take you somewhere nice. So be good and follow me.
With each meaningless outburst, you degrade yourself further.
How naive. Help.
Too slow.
There's that S1EE proccing an extra hit.
There's no escape.
Assist me.
You owe me one. How about we try
Border
a
Coin is up to
little
level 2 now. It's actually contributing to damage.
Shall we bet on it?
Out of respect, I'll use all my might. There's nothing more absurd than the arrogance of a fool.
A little
It's
help?
over.
I didn't want to have to do this, but it seems I have no choice.
Love seeing that S1EE proc for that extra hit.
Why don't you beg for forgiveness?
Okay, we've got buff block up. Does Carmen Rose strip? She does strip, so the defense buff is gone. Brieg replaces it with a defense break.
For your reckless greed.
Help.
Now we've got defense break and target. We're doing max damage again.
I'll destroy you.
Assist me.
I do have the 100% crit chance on Cerise just to help her with some survivability. Attacking is the only way to heal yourself, and the damage you do impacts how much you heal. She doesn't do a lot of damage anyway, so the crit chance neck helps her stay healthier. She actually lives longer with the crit chance neck than she did with an HP neck for me.
Keep watching, everyone. Enough.
And there's Border Coin 3, max damage now.
Give up now.
I'll take you somewhere nice. So be good and follow me.
I'll leave it to you. Help.
I got this.
The time has come. I have no mercy to spare. For your reckless greed.
Assist me.
I'm coming. There's no escape.
Okay, I want you guys all to notice the Pain Pursuer's HP bar. We had a good 2 or 3 rounds left before he went berserk, so you could do this with a much lower gear score and full clear. You don't need to be geared nearly as well as I'm geared. I kind of regret not shooting this video with 0 Mola and starter gear on Brieg just to show how OP he is in this. Now let's roll over to the Dark Expedition. For the Dark Expedition, we're running the same team as before, but once again, we're going to replace Fire Cecilia with Brieg. Don't worry, Fire Cece will still have a job in the Green Expo. Brieg won't work there. So again, same Brieg as before, Unity set optional, gear way overtuned. This artifact is mostly for the crit chance and the damage. I think it's his best in slot. You could also run his own artifact, Sword of Azera if you find you're dying too quickly. Mort's artifact for crit damage and skill resets, or the damage artifact, though I think that's better on your damage dealers. His S3 has got a speed down and decreased defense, which makes him optimal for this team. His S1 does increase his CR. Mola there is more about damage than anything else. I do think you maybe want to put a little bit into his barrier if you're not running Sword of Azera. You'll have to judge for yourself. Are you having survivability issues or not? I did have survivability issues, so I put Shuri on Bloodstone just as a little extra source of healing. You can try it without it, you can try it on Sword of Judgment, you can put some effectiveness on it and put your Shuri on Song of Stars for a target debuff. So you got options. Experiment, find what works best for your gearing and your account. Standard run-of-the-mill Tamarin, way higher speed than she needs, lower bulk than normal. You do want 100% effect resistance on your Tamarin so that the cannon can't reset her. I've got her on Mog's Tome for cycling. And finally, Commander Lorena. I've put Commander Lorena on the new Expedition artifact. Well, I should say it's a PvE artifact. If it's a boss monster, you do 20% more damage, so it's kind of like an unconditional Portrait of the Saviors. I put it on her so that she I don't have to swap artifacts between expeditions and doing Labyrinth, because DDJ is great in Labyrinth but doesn't work here, and etc. You get me. So that's the team. Let's see how it works. Spoiler alert, it works incredibly well.
I'll use all my might. There's nothing more absurd than the arrogance of a fool.
So we get a defense break, but it doesn't really matter because the Gigantus takes a turn, cleanses it off.
In the point of my spear.
If your Lorena's a little bit faster, she might get one hit in. Not a big deal, though.
I have no mercy to spare.
Brieg reapplies his defense break, and hopefully the slow debuff. Got them both. Extra damage.
Ready?
Unity set value.
Attack. It's my turn.
Random 3% dual attack.
Go away.
Tam tops off everybody's healing. The biggest concern is the Gigantus shoots Brieg, and then the cannon fires off, and it might kill your Brieg. With Bloodstone, that seemed to have stopped that from happening for me. If it happens again to me, I'll just put 1 or 2 Mola into his barrier. See how low on the health he's getting? But the Bloodstone heals him back up.
Grant me power, Lord Noyas.
That barrier he just put up is huge with Mola.
I have no mercy to spare. For your reckless
Defense
greed.
break and slow are refreshed. Well, at least the defense break was refreshed.
Listen.
And once Tam transforms, it's just about over.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Now we have attack buff,
There's nothing more absurd
and we start doing serious damage.
than the arrogance of a fool.
Together. I'm ready.
The constant pushing from Shuri is amazing. Look at this hit from Lorena. 111k damage in one hit.
Shine free.
1, 2. This is the end. Leave it to me.
Out of respect, I'll use all my might. With each meaningless outburst, you degrade yourself further.
I'll leave it to you.
Go away.
Ready to fire.
Let's fight together. Ha! Listen.
Good timing on Tamarin, pushing everybody back up.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's shine.
I have no mercy to spare.
Brieg reapplies the defense break and slow
For your
debuff.
reckless greed.
I will pierce everything.
The cannon reduces skill cooldowns, so that's why you want to have the 100% effect resistance. 100% ER makes you immune to junk mobs, and the cannon's a junk mob, so 100 ER and you're effectively immune to the skill pushback. So you don't need 200 ER here.
The time has come. There's nothing more absurd than the arrogance of a fool.
Yep.
It's
Fight
my
with
turn.
me.
Attack.
Let's fight together. Listen.
I want you guys to peep the score and then take a look at that HP bar over the Gigantus head.
Shine. Ha!
We're at 1.5 million and we're barely to the halfway point of the fight. This is the halfway point of the fight, and we're already at 1.65 million.
Each meaningless outburst. You degrade yourself further.
Shine free.
I'll break you into 1,000 pieces. Fall asunder!
Feel my might in the point of my spear.
And there you go. 1.818 million, full clear. Brieg trivializes this fight.
An unknown power has brought unrest to the sanctuary.
Now let's move over to the Ice Expedition. Didn't really change anything in the Ice Expedition team. It's the same Ice Expedition we've always been running. I made a specific DPS Sid for this, but any Sid will work. But let's talk about the other units first. The supporting cast is, of course, Rowana in the front. Rowana only needs to be a brick. The counter set is completely not required. I just have her built like this for RTA usage. All you need to make sure is that you've got the HP and the defense to take a hit and not die. Rowana dying is the chief reason this run can fail. So build her tanky and with enough speed that she gets her barriers and healings off, and she should be able to tank everything up front for you. Mine does fine at this gear point. Mercenary Helga, build for damage, but make sure you don't go too nuts on her attack. You need to make sure she has lower attack than Sid. I'll discuss some ways to supplement that here in just a minute. I put her on the Victorious Flag artifact, largely because I have no idea what else to do with this junk artifact, so I put it on her for some extra damage, just to give that artifact a place. Now, you notice she has 3619 attack. If you use Lilka, she gives 116 attack to the top two rows. So you can stage her properly to make sure that her attack, which isn't shown here, so if your Sid is lower attack by, say, 100, you could use that, position her to give Sid the attack boost, but not Helga, and make sure that Sid has the highest attack. You could also use an artifact like Wind Rider to boost Sid's attack, but you want to make sure Sid's the highest attack unit. The EE doesn't really matter. The one that does slow is kind of nice. I like Elia's Knife. For damage, you can also run Dust Devil, which will give you extra attacks. You'll proc the healing more often. That might help with survivability if you notice your Rowana's dying. You can also run a fast Sid on Wind Rider and clean up nicely. Lilka herself, I put her on Song of Stars because Sid packs a defense break, Helga packs a defense break, and even Lilka packs a defense break, so I gave her Song of Stars to have target on there as well. That should make sure that we keep the maximum amount of outgoing damage possible. Elemental Advantage, only need 85% effectiveness. Lilka does need, or crit chance, Lilka does need 85% effectiveness to stick her debuffs. Because my Sid doesn't need only the attack, I can give the attack to Helga, and I'm still making sure Sid is my highest attack unit, so I went ahead and moved Lilka to the bottom slot. But you can move Lilka to the top slot if you need to give Sid only the attack boost to get his attack higher than Helga's. And the reason for that is the Symmachus paralyzes the highest attack unit, and Lilka CR pushes the highest attack unit. So you want to make sure that the unit that's paralyzed, Sid, is pushed up by Lilka. Now, I know you're thinking, well, she'll just push up Helga. Watch when Helga does this attack, it CR pushes Sid as well. And it's the combination of Lilka and Helga that gets Sid all the way up to 100% CR. So you want to make sure Sid's the one that's paralyzed, not Helga.
Poor lady, hey, please.
It's a little bit tough. Helga has much higher base attack than Sid, so it's a little tricky to make sure she is the higher attack, or that Sid's the higher attack unit.
Like the wind.
You see there, because Helga had the attack buff, Lilka pushed her, but that's okay. When the Symmachus does his ultimate, it strips everybody, and Sid goes back to being the highest attack unit. He's the one that gets paralyzed, and he's the one that Lilka pushes up.
Excuse me.
Are you scared?
Every 6 attacks, the Symmachus will take a turn and attack, which will heal off Rowana, but it also removes 1 layer of debuffs.
May the holy light.
And that's why it's good to have every single unit on the team spamming defense break. Sid is once again frozen, Lilka pushes him up, and Helga finishes pushing him back up to the front. Now there's RNG in this fight, predominantly around the timing of Loka and Helga's push. If Loka and Helga do their push and then Sid gets paralyzed, you have to wait a couple of rounds before they can push Sid back into the fight, and you might not complete. You'll still score incredibly high. This team on average scores 1.7 to full clear. I have had 1 or 2 fights where it was in the 1.6 million, but usually at full clears. I'd say more than 50% of the time at full clears like this run, but there is RNG to it, so be aware that you won't always full clear, but a score of 1.6 to 1.7, somebody else will finish it for you, I'm sure. If you want to make sure you get 1.8 each time, just build a slightly higher gear score than what I've got here, and it's easy peasy. Wow, I overkilled the heck out of that one. So there's my guide for fourth quarter expeditions. I hope this helps you build teams. I hope it helps answer the questions on whether or not you should pull Brieg. To recap on that, not really good anywhere but light and dark expeditions. Has some limited usage as a nightmare team unit, possibly against Carcanus. Some people are testing him in Wyvern. I'm not convinced, but we'll see how that pans out. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. Don't forget to jump into my Discord, and as always, like and subscribe. Have a great one, everybody.